from the Tigers dugout. Justin, first of all, congrats on such a great season to date. Thanks for taking time, and tell us, you've been here for 7 years now. You were here on a World Series team in 2006. Compare that club and what you've seen the last 7 years to how you guys are going collectively right now.
Well, you know, it's a tough comparison. Two totally different teams, especially from 2006. But the one thing that's in common right now is the way we're playing baseball. You know, 2006, we got a little cold towards the very end of the season. Good ball.
Down and out.
Gosh, I am just bad luck.
Oh, they're going to rip those headsets right off you here in a minute. A 1-1 ball game on a solo shot by Joe Mauer.
You know, in 2006, we got a little cold at the end, but we got hot right as the playoffs started. So right now, we're starting to get hot. And I've said all year I hadn't thought we played our best baseball. And, you know, we're really starting to play good now, hitting our stride, playing good every day. And hopefully we just continue to do that down the stretch and carry that over into the playoffs. Hopefully we're there. You take nothing for granted at this point in the season because we've been here before and not quite made it, and we know how tough that is. So we just keep pushing forward.
You want home field advantage, don't you, Justin?
Oh, absolutely. You know, to be able to have home field advantage is big. You know, obviously if you don't get it, it is what it is. You go in and do the best you can. But to be able to open up the playoffs at home in front of a crowd that supported us so greatly all year would be huge.
Justin, we know that you're a modest guy and that you're not necessarily real comfortable talking about yourself and your terrific campaign. So let's ask you about the rest of the staff and the guys behind you. We mentioned how big the acquisition of Doug Fister was last half inning. Talk about Doug Fister and the guy on the mound right now, Max Scherzer, and how they're throwing the ball.
Well, you know, Doug has been huge for us. He came over right away, and you know, his record wasn't indicative of the way had been throwing the ball. You know, he had a low 3 ERA in Seattle. And, you know, he came over and was as advertised. He throws strikes. He's got great stuff. He mixes up his pitches extremely well. And I really like his last few starts. He's been mixing his curveball a little bit more than he had previously. And he's gotten a lot of strikeouts. His last start, he had 13. So, you know, that's just he's just getting better as the season goes on. And, you know, Max, obviously you get a glimpse of his stuff today. He's got tremendous stuff. You know, a fastball that gets in the upper 90s and a great change and a good slider. And, you know, I heard you guys talking earlier about him being more consistent. And that's what it's all about with him, just being consistent, first pitch strikes, getting ahead of guys, and then using that secondary stuff to put guys away.
Basically the same philosophy that you go about your business.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, that's been a big step forward for me this year is first pitch strikes, and that all comes down to fastball command. I feel like I've been able to control my fastball much better this year, not just for strikes, but in certain locations in the zone, up, down, in, out, and get ahead of guys, which makes my secondary stuff that much better.
You know, Justin, something that I've been curious about regarding the staff dynamic here with you guys. You're the staff leader, you're the staff ace. That doesn't always mean that you're the guy that other guys on the staff go to for help. I mean, rare is the Roy Halladay, that kind of pitching coach slash staff ace, Greg Maddux type guy. Does that dynamic exist here with this staff in Detroit?
Yes and no, but you know, I've never been the guy that goes to guys and says, hey, you know, might want to try working on this. But you know, if guys want to come to me and say, hey, what do you do or what do you think, I'm more than willing to help guys out and sit down and talk with them. But we've got a lot of guys here that have a really good idea. So not too much needs to be said. It's more a lot of fine-tuning and little things that their pitching coach does.
I think that's the true, you know, qualities of an ace is, you know, hey, if you're there and they want to ask you, you do, but you know, you do it by going out to the mound and doing what you're doing this year. And that's going deep into ball games and showing your teammates that you care for them.
Yeah, you know, that's what I like to do best is just lead by example. You know, go out there and work as hard as I can.
There's not a real big book out there on guys like Chris Parmalee, Joe Benson. These are young September call-ups that are hungry. Is it hard to face a lineup like this?
I don't know if it is for him. I'll have to ask him after the game, but it is for me. I feel a level of comfort, no matter who it is, whether it's you know, Joe Mauer or whatnot, the best hitter in the league. There's a level of comfort for me knowing to recall previous at bats against that guy and know how I've had success against him and what plays into his favor, so that I can stay away from those spots.
Justin, you're leading the American League in innings pitched, something that you take a lot of pride in.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I've got a little bit more of an old school mentality, and thankfully we've got a skipper that realizes that, you know, when I go out there, I'm not quite done at 100, 110 pitches. He'll let me ride out there a little bit more. And, that kind of complements my style because I'm a power pitcher. I'm going to give up, a lot of foul balls and stuff that leads to a higher pitch count. But him letting me have a little bit longer leash allows me to go out there and get that extra inning or so and save our bullpen a little bit more.
I know that it's too early to start talking about this kind of thing, and I suspect I know how you're going to respond to it, but I'll ask you anyway. Season ends today, and you guys get the Red Sox. I mean, is there any sense that you look at standings and say, hey, maybe we match up better against this team as opposed to that team? And I know that you're not assuming that you'll get there yourselves, but do you look at numbers and do you look at head-to-heads like that?
Well, you know my answer, and that's not yet. And whatever happens, happens. We go out and we're going to win as many games as possible and see who we get once we get there.
I've had the fortune of pitching in postseason and then the World Series, and boy, isn't it nice, and I hope you get this, Justin, but it's early run support. So important for a starting pitcher.
Yeah, that's always big, especially, even in season. And in the postseason, that'd be fantastic. Yeah. But in season, it's just that little bit of a jolt of a confidence boost, I guess. Your team gets you 1, 2, 3 early in the game, first, second inning. And, it allows you to get in your momentum and rhythm a little bit more and even be a little bit more aggressive and hopefully go deeper in the game. And
I think you probably sense that here in Detroit because of what you guys have been able to do, score a lot of runs.
Yeah, absolutely. Our guys have, especially as of late, they've been getting pretty hot. Everybody's having great at-bats, and you've seen that my last couple starts. Well, there was one mixed in that was pretty good, but they bailed me out, and that's great to see. It's a never say die attitude. Yesterday is a perfect example of that. We're down 4 early in the game, and it's nothing for those guys. They go right back out there and get the momentum back on their side, and we come back and win.
2 balls and 2 strikes. The count to Joe Benson. Visiting with Justin Verlander on the telecast this afternoon. 1 out, 1 on. Twins on the board here on the Joe Mauer home run. Justin, when we visited with your manager, with Jim Leland, earlier today, he mentioned how he can go back to one particular series as being kind of the got it moment where he felt like the club had turned the corner and that you guys were heading toward the end goal here, and that was going down to Tampa Bay and taking 3 out of 4 from the Rays. Is that series a memorable one for you, and would you agree with your skipper's assessment that that was a big turning point?
Yeah, absolutely. That was a big turning point. Obviously, going into Tampa Bay, they've got a great ball club, and in that division, it's kind of tough for those guys, especially this year. But to be able to go in there and win 2 out of 3, and then come around and sweep 6 games of Cleveland and the White Sox, I really think those 6 games were big for us, obviously, to extend the gap of their lead. I'm going to get hit in the face here in the middle of the seat. I just know it.
Swing and a miss by Joe Benson, and there are 2 gone here in the 4th.
Scherzer picks up his 4th strikeout. Now, Justin, everybody talking about the Cy Young Award. Definitely, you're a one-horse race right now, but the MVP, how do you feel about that? The American League MVP. Do you feel that you should be in the running, or do you think an MVP should be an everyday player?
Well, obviously, in my opinion, I think pitchers should be up for it.
Okay, good.
Well, we have a big impact, and I really think it's not just an impact on our one game like people say. I think we have an impact on really 3 games, maybe more, as a starting pitcher. Either they can wear the bullpen out the day before, or I save the bullpen in the day after, our bullpen's fresh. Little things like that kind of go unnoticed. But obviously I think you need to do something extraordinary because we only have 35 starts and the position players out there for 155 games or whatever they are out there for. But if you do something extraordinary, I'm not saying that I am, but I think you should definitely be able to be considered, because I've said this before.
You don't have to say it, but I will.
Last I've checked, pitchers are players as well.
And we are the best athlete on the field.
Always.
2 balls and no strikes. The count to Brian Dinkelman. So you refute this theory that the pitcher is the field goal kicker of a Major League Baseball team.
Yeah, I definitely disagree with that. The game starts and ends with us. When we're out there, we have a major impact on a game. And usually the starting pitcher is the one that decides a win or loss. There's a bunch of games mixed in where it goes into a tied and the relief pitchers come in. But for the most part, momentum rides on the starting pitcher that day. So when we are out there, it's a huge impact on the game.
Justin Verlander, thanks so much for taking time.
Thank you.
Congrats on a great year and best of luck down the stretch.
Guys, thanks. I appreciate it.